Mentioned because your competitor for the governor's seat has arrived, and would like to now call in Senator Johnson Sakaja.
Hey, karibu Mdosi. Sasa bro, how are you?
Good, how are you doing?
Good, karibu sana. Good to see you. Pole.
Asante.
Traffic mbaya tutasort.
Thank you very much.
Senator Sakaja, why are you late?
Well, my opponent is used to head starts, and so I wanted to give him an opportunity, and we're here.
Lakini mbona umekuja kuchelewa?
Nilikuwa nataka kumpa nafasi, aanze amezoea kupatiwa nafasi ya kuanza. Na hakuna haja kuzingatia hiyo zaidi. I think we all know the head starts we're talking about, that is from government, TC, but good to see you, Polycarp.
Good to see you, Sakaja. Welcome.
I look forward to a good debate. Thank you.
All right. What separates you from your top competitor for the governor position?
Well, Polycarp Igathe is a great man. He's a friend of mine. We've been in Jubilee together. We've campaigned together. I think what separates us is the heart to work for the people. He's had a career in the corporate sector. I've had a career in public service and in leadership. The problems this county has, the challenges in our city, the issues we need to deal with, need solid political leadership, and that is what I know.
Naam, swala la maadili katika uongozi lina umuhimu gani katika siasa zako, katika kampeni yako, katika mchakato huu mzima wa kuwania kiti cha ugavana katika kaunti ya Nairobi?
Swala za maadili ni muhimu sana, kwa sababu kiongozi sio tu yale ambayo unasema ama yale ambayo unazo kama fikra, ni yale ambayo unafanya. Integrity is extremely important, na mimi nazingatia masuala yote ya maadili. I think integrity defines who you are. And it's not about who you are in public, but also who you are in private. And that's what defines a leader, because as a leader, your work is to set a good example. Your work is to show, the community and the society where to go to. And so, of course, integrity is not perfection. Integrity is not pontification. Integrity is not saying that you'll never make any mistake. Integrity is taking responsibility. And integrity is being able to stand up and say, yes, on this I am right, and yes, on this I am wrong. That is integrity.
You speak about abiding, and part of the requirement for governor is the competence and the credentials.
Yes.
Do you believe that it is important for someone running for governor to have a degree?
It's not just important, it's a requirement by our constitution.
Do you have a degree?
That's the reason I'm here. That's the reason I've been gazetted. I do have all the qualifications required to run for governor of Nairobi, and on top of a degree, beyond just the academic qualifications, I have the competence, the character, I have the will and the experience to lead this county of Nairobi.
Why is it so contested?
Because as I've said, the head starts being sought include that. I think, and I feel bad for my opponent, because majority, or rather the biggest part that his team has been relying on was not to have me on the ballot. I'm glad I had his said, because I've been around, I've been in this complex and listening, saying that, he wants me on the ballot. I'm glad he said that, but many of his political benefactors do not want me on the ballot because they know the effect of that. I do have a degree from Team University. I presented it on the 6th of last month to the competent authority, which is the Commission for University Education. After that, it was presented to the counterpart commission in in our neighboring country. They verified it. Many people have said that I'm trying hard to prove that I have one. Actually, it's my detractors trying hard to prove that I don't have one. Now, this issue is before the court, and the reason I sympathize is that if my opponent and his team focused on going to the people, then they would stop looking for solace in the courts. I have it. In fact, I would want to display it today to all of you to see. I don't know how you'll verify it. But the competent authorities and institutions that have to verify it have actually said it is correct.
Na kwa dakika moja unusu, kwa sababu sasa hivi tutaanza kuzingatia muda kulingana na sheria na masharti ambayo tuliweka awali. Kwa dakika moja unusu, endapo utachaguliwa kuwa gavana wa kaunti ya Nairobi, kisha baadaye kesi iwasilishwe mahakamani ambayo itabatili ushindi wako, utawajibikia wakazi na wapiga kura wa Nairobi? Hakuna
kesi inaweza kubatili ushindi wangu, kwa sababu kwanza ushindi wangu, unajua ndugu yangu anaongea juu ya 8:57 am. Ushindi wangu utadhihirika, utaonekana. Nafikiri vile mmetutawanyisha kutoka wale wengine ilikuwa kwa sababu ya utafiti ambao umefanywa na utafiti umeonyesha kwamba niko mbele zaidi. Mambo ambayo yako kotini yataisha kwa sababu tunajua ukweli ambao uko. Hakuna tashwishi hapo. Na zaidi ya hiyo, kwa sababu kumekuwa na hiyo, unajua, kizungumkuti ambayo imeongozwa na serikali, and I have said it, previously, who has been driving this and how it's been driven. I think by the time we're going for re-election, we'll make sure that there's even more to be able to show on that. So that is not an issue of concern. What is of concern to us, and what is of concern to anybody worth his salt as a leader in this city, is the plight of the millions of Nairobians who are suffering the lack of dignity and the lack of order in our city. And that is where our focus must be. So I do not expect any challenges beyond that which, because what is out there is political propaganda. If you look at the lengths that the state has gone to try and stop my candidature, if you look at the resources deployed, including diplomats and the ambassador, etc., intimidation of institutions, revoking and revoking, etc., then you know that there's something there. And I think nothing of that source will stand the test of time.
Are you saying that those who are backing this fight for your contestation for the position of governor are behind your competitor?
Yes.
What do you say about that? You have an opportunity to respond.
Our worthy competitors have pitched themselves as victims, and the entire platform is victimhood. That they are victims of the weather, they are victims of the law, they are victims of what they call the system. But facts are facts, and the truth is the truth. I have said I really would love to meet Senator Sakaja.
I think out of abundance of the heart,
I would like to meet Senator. I would like to meet. I would like to meet Senator Sakaja on the ballot. Because on the ballot, so that we can beat him, and so that the people who are the last line of defense when all other institutions fail, prove to him that they know better. That wajinga waliisha Kenya, na waliisha Nairobi. If any other institutions fail, the people should never fail on the ballot.
Na muda umekwisha. Senator Sakaja, je, uamuzi wako kuingia kinyang'anyironi, ama niweke hivi, uamuzi wa kuingia kinyang'anyironi ulikuwa wako binafsi au ulikuwa wa chama na kiongozi wa chama?
Nimefurahi kwanza tumemaliza hicho kipindi kwa sababu I'm able to prove and to show that I have the qualifications, and that is going on. I'm looking forward to it. I know millions of Nairobians everywhere I've gone to tell me every day that they're praying, and because they can see that big hand of the state, and we shall be vindicated in due course. When this time after this, I'm available to speak to that. Of course, my intention to run for governor of Nairobi has been my intention. I've grown up in this.
Your particular alliance have or be to your leadership as governor?
I think I've distinguished myself over the years as an objective leader, as a leader who stands his ground, as a leader who stands on principle. Many times, even before what my competitors and the colleagues thrive on, they like talking about the handshake, I've demonstrated what we call siasa safi. When the Honorable Prime Minister, former Prime Minister's retirement benefits were being rejected in Parliament because his now partner and brother said he must retire from politics, I'm the only person from Jubilee who stood up to defend. When Honorable Lodge was being fought at Pan-Africa by Jubilee members on the 26th of October, I'm the one who defended him. When Babu Owino was thrown into a cell and Raila Odinga and Wetangula could not remove him, I went, despite there not being any agreement before the handshake. I believe in siasa safi. I believe politics is not enmity. And I want to assure even my opponent that once we get into office, some of the ideas he has, because he's a good manager, and this city also needs, in some areas you need managers, of course, led by a leader with a vision. We'll incorporate the ideas. Everybody sitting on that side knows that I have no negative relationship with them, and that is the siasa safi Nairobians want. And that is why all your polls show that Nairobians across the political divide have resolved to support me for the office of governor.
Bwana Polycarp, je, ni kwamba Azimio mnaendesha siasa chafu katika kaunti ya Nairobi?
Kwanza wacha tuangalie siasa safi ni nini. Mwaka uliopita taifa la Kenya, the amount of money, pesa ambazo walituma kwa serikali gatuzi kutoka kwa serikali ya kitaifa was 370 billion shillings. 370 billion, Nairobi ilipata 19 billion. 5% only ndio ilikuja Nairobi. Nairobi, wapiga kura Nairobi ni 11% ya tuko 2.4 million out of 2.4 million voters out of 22 million voters in the country. Now, Nairobi contributes 2.2 trillion wame collect Kenya Revenue Authority. 60% ya hiyo 2.2 trillion imetoka kwa viwanda na wafanyi biashara hapa Nairobi. How does somebody contribute 60% of revenue and you only share 5% back? Na hiyo siasa safi ndio seneta wetu amefanya katika Senate. Kazi ya seneta ni kutuombea pesa. Ametuombea tu 5%. Alienda huko kufanya kazi ya county zingine. Hapa ndio sababu Nairobi hamna mashule. Tuna nasari pengine 211. Tuko na health centers kidogo sana, da dispensary. Na ndipo njaa na umaskini umekithiri hapa kwa sababu watu hawajui Nairobi is unaffected and a very poor country.
Muda wako umekwisha.
A very poor county.
Muda wako umekwisha.
That is not siasa safi.
Bwana Sakaja ameuliza umetetea vipi county ya Nairobi ulipokuwa seneta katika kipindi hiki cha takriban miaka 5. Je, kweli umewajibika kama seneta wa county ya Nairobi?
Zaidi. Na zaidi ya wote wengine ambao walichaguliwa kama maseneta. Ukiangalia utafiti ambao umefanywa kwa miaka 3 ambayo imepita, for the last 3 years running, I've been rated the best performing senator in the Republic of Kenya. I brought more bills, more motions, more questions about the county administration of Nairobi than any other senator, and you can check. I can see you have laptops. You can check that. On top of that, the work of the senator is to bring resources to the county. When I became senator for Nairobi, Nairobi was receiving 15 billion. I'm living with it 3.3 billion higher at 19 billion. That is actually understanding your assignment and prosecuting it the way you need to. So I brought that money. In fact, naturally, it will take more than 10-15 years in terms of cycles of devolution to get to an increase of 3.3 billion.
Something Igathe says isn't quite enough, even though you've gotten it to 19 billion. Something he says isn't enough, given the contribution of the capital to the rest of the nation.
Now, if you understand the framework of devolution under our constitution, fiscal decentralization has what we call the horizontal division of revenue. In that horizontal division of revenue, you have a county allocation of revenue bill where you divide the amount that is given amongst the counties. So of course there is a ceiling of what has been given to all counties. What I have fought for is the fair share for Nairobi City County, which remains to be the highest, and over and above what any other county gets.
Igathe, you have a response on that?
I don't know how much is enough.
What Senator ensured persisted in this country is a philosophy that is unsustainable. That you take from people according to their needs and give to others according to their ability and give to others according to their need. Nairobi is a very needy county. And the criticism I'm proffering here and submitting to him is that as senator, what did you do to help Nairobi overcome the hunger, the deprivation, the desperation in the informal settlements? Did you bring that matter to Senate? Did you make people understand that case? Instead, what we saw, he was a leader of a group called Team Kenya that even removed incentives for county to generate their own revenue. We used to get 1% extra if you generate your own source revenue. Like Nairobi is only generating this is going to do about 9 billion of its own revenue. So the county, the CRA, Commission for Revenue Allocation, was giving us brownie points as a county if you collect your own revenue and you don't rely on the national government. And these are some of the things he did not protect as our senator. So how does somebody fail or does not succeed in their task and then you give him the job of governor?
Na ulifeli katika kutetea na kulinda rasilimali za kaunti ya Nairobi, na ukiwa seneta kwa takriban miaka 5 ambao umekuwa katika uongozi, umeweka mikakati gani kudhibiti na kuimarisha ukusanyaji wa mapato katika kaunti ya Nairobi ambayo yameonekana kudidimia?
19 billion from 15 billion is success. It's an improvement. In fact, if I succumbed to the sloganeering that my worthy competitor is talking about, which in fact his argument is the best case to show that education does not necessarily equate to intelligence, because If I bring a box and tell you this is 1 man, 1 shilling, and it's 1,000 bob to you, and inside it's 500 shillings, would you accept it? What they were offering Nairobi Polycarp was 134 million shillings more. I refused with my team Kenya. I said Nairobi has the depth of poverty, that urban poverty bites harder than rural poverty, that you have nothing in this city, you'll have nothing to eat, you'll have nowhere to stay. And I refused that 135 million shillings and got 3.35 billion shillings for the people of Nairobi. If I was just to fall for the empty slogan, Nairobi would still be at 15.8 billion shillings today. So I'm very proud, and I'm proud of all my members, because not only did I secure that for Nairobi, I showed this country that there is no Kenya A and Kenya B. There's no second-class county in a first-class country. And I stand my ground that we must be patriotic. Even as we're in Nairobi, we have people from all across the country. On top of that, I can list you the bills. I brought the startup bill. I brought the prompt payment bill. I brought the National Disaster Management Authority bill in the Senate. I have fought for Uber drivers, Taxify and all digital hailing apps. I have spoken about the demolitions and even stopped demolitions that are going further. I have done a lot. In fact, if you give me maybe an hour or so to just list the things I have done in the Senate, and I hope the next Senate of Nairobi will be able to fill in those big
for that response,
because it is work that we've done.
Let's push on with that aspect then on. You talk about not having enough funds allocated to Nairobi given its place in the nation. However, there is the issue of not being able to actually get the potential revenue that it can get owing to the cartels in the city, which have been a thorn in the flesh of the administration. But it can be argued also fostered by the leadership. What will you do to get rid or deal with the cartels? Igathe, you have a minute and a half.
Thank you very much for that question. Nairobi collects, for sure, way above 200 million shillings every day. But what ends up in Nairobi coffers is around and about roughly 40 million a day. So over 160 million shillings is lost every day. That's the fact. We've had a senator whose work is also oversight. And Senator Sakaja, you had a chance to be seen in this country oversighting the county of Nairobi. When push came to shove and the impeachment question came to the floor of Senate, it's up to Kenyans to see how you voted. Not only did you did not even take a decision, you abstained. You walked away from the conversation. We have not seen you. Nairobi County employees, in fact, we have to apologize to them. They do unbelievable. Their salaries are delayed. Their remittances are delayed. The Auditor General's report about Nairobi City County is that Nairobi City County is close, has a debt of over 80 billion now. That is what it has been given an adverse opinion. But have we ever heard once our senator speak about it? And that's why I'm saying the oversight role he did not do very well, and he actually did not succeed in that oversight role. But the cartels we will deal with, because we have the numbers and we know who they are, and you have seen them even in the campaign season, trying to fight and hide behind
muda wako umekwisha. Bwana Sakaja, una muda wa dakika moja unusu kujibu.
I'm actually quite tickled that Polycarp Igathe can talk about push coming to shove and me not making a decision. Before even push came to shove, in like 4 or 5 months, Polycarp Igathe quit on the people of Nairobi. In fact, that should have come in the question of integrity. Because when you talk about public trust, chapter 6, at the expense of private convenience, that is the question that we must answer.
It did come up before you, right?
The question on impeachment. Governor Sonko will not be facing an impeachment if you're stuck in office. In fact, if you're stuck in office, you probably would have been the incumbent governor. If you're stuck in office, there'd be no NMS in Nairobi. The reason we have an NMS in Nairobi is after Polycarp Igathe could not wait or stand the heat in the kitchen, he ran away in less than 6 months. This city needs resilience. You need to be tough. You cannot say that you have betrayed 800 and I think, how many votes did you guys get? 40 or something thousand votes, 840,000 votes, because you could not get the trust of one individual, yet 1 million Nairobians have given you the public trust. When push has come to shove, look at the Senate answered. I have spoken more times than any senator. I have raised more questions in the Senate than any other senator. In fact, I have taken the former Governor Sonko to court on the action he took on Matatus. The record is clear. This county needs a political manager who understands how to deal with the leaders and how to deal with the issues of the people, but has a thick skin. In fact, if half of the tribulations I'm facing right now in my bid were on Polycarp, Azimio would have no candidate. But I have stood.
Your time is out, you've stood, you ran off.
He'd have quit.
Integrity, I define integrity as what you do in private. If it ever became public, you'll never be ashamed. I'll tell you what is not integrity. Is uttering false documents and then standing here and saying I have integrity. Go to the website of the East African, of EACC. Go to the website of IBC. Check the university governors, Sakaja, Senator Sakaja. No, let me go. Go and check what Senator Sakaja cited as his degree in 2017. It's a public document. And then look at the degree he's saying it is today. We don't even know who he is. Is your name really Sakaja? Nairobi. Careful. All of us, careful. We can no longer entertain charlatans in positions of high national responsibility. And charlatan is not an insult. It's people of questionable integrity. It's people and individuals who come to steal from you wholesale to distribute retail to their friends. And I submit to you, the man to my left will do exactly that. Careful.
I think the man to my right did exactly that by running away from the mandate given to him by Nairobians. Actually, the entire mess we have in this city. Because when he ran away from office, and I think he said somewhere because he got a bigger salary somewhere, I don't know. This city went into a spiral. I assure you, even the drafting of the articles of transfer, I had to be involved because we had to rescue Nairobians. And he ran away from that public office. Now, if you cannot withstand the heat of a deputy governor, you can't run Nairobi City County. You have 85 MCAs, possibly 40 nominated, 125 MCAs. You have 17 constituencies. If just one Mike Sonko made you run, tomorrow, matatus will strike. The next day, hawkers will be on the street. The next day, and you're trying to run this county by being popular, it will not work. Again, as I've said, it is really unfortunate that the only card they had was to try and stop me from being on the ballot. I want to tell you, to wake up, smell the coffee. On the 9th of August, I'll be on the ballot for governor of Nairobi City County, and on the 25th, we shall be sworn in. Because Nairobians can see through the game. And the documents he's talking about, for instance, in fact, they're part, and I don't want to wade into subdue this, but they're forged documents. They actually forged documents in court by them. They've tried to...
Lakini huwezi kuthibitisha hilo, sio?
Of course I can, because the signature there is not my signature.
Lakini sisi kwa sababu hatuna hizo stakabadhi, hatutakuruhusu kuzitumia.
Tuachie hapo, lakini wacha nijieleze, naona dakika zinaenda. Utanipa nafasi nzuri nijieleze. Mimi nimehitimu na nimesoma na nimesimamia watu wa Nairobi.
Jina lako ni Sakaja?
Not just in fair weather.
Sakaja ni jina lako halisi?
Nafikiri mlialika Sakaja. Jina lako ni Zubeida.
Niko hapa kuuliza maswali, uko hapa kujibu, naomba.
Ukiuliza swali ambao kama watu wa Nairobi wanasema itoshi.
Mwenzako amekuuliza swali. Kwa sababu uko hapa kujibu, ndio sababu tunakupa nafasi kujibu. Jina lako ni Sakaja.
Out to the issues Nairobians are facing instead of trivializing this debate as to what my name is, honestly. My name is Arthur Johnson Sakaja.
Naam.
I am the senator of Nairobi and the incoming governor, God willing, on the 9th of August.
Asante kwa kujibu.
And I want us to talk about water. Let's talk about the poverty our people are facing. Let's talk about sorting out mobility and transport. Let's talk about sorting out our children in school. Let's talk about the issues of the people. And the rest of the games being played by the state and our opponents can then have their way. Because Kenyans have seen. In fact, I want to give you full reassurance. Just yesterday, a few of the government administration officers have called me saying that they've been coerced into supporting the candidature of my opponent, and they've refused. Chiefs have refused.
Well, we can't
have refused.
We can't quite verify that. That's
I can verify
your
that,
word.
But you should also be able to verify the questions he has. I have 16 seconds.
That's your word on that. But he said, and you didn't quite respond directly to it.
To what
at the moment, I'm quite clear, Senator Sakaja.
Thanks, Mark.
At the moment of reckoning, when
Yes.
there was questions over the leadership of former governor, the moment of impeachment,
Let me explain how
you
Senate
walked
works.
away.
Let me explain how Senate works. It's my question.
Sure, go ahead.
When you go to the Senate, I've seen one of the candidates here. There are 3 buttons to press when you have to vote. You either press yes, you press no, or you press abstain. For you to run away from the vote in the Senate, you actually walk out. You don't press any. Meaning to abstain is actually a vote, and it's a statement that you make. The tradition, because Parliament is ruled by the standing orders, by traditions and by precedents, and the past jurisprudence that has been set in the Senate. When a matter comes regarding your county, you're supposed to prosecute your position on the floor and then let others make the decision. Because if you vote yes to impeach a governor, of course it shows your conflict of interest. Because you want also to be governor. Then it shows that you're putting a man down. And let me tell you, Kenyans have grace. No matter the ills of Governor Mike Sonko, or whoever else would have been there, you never kick a man when he's down. So when you press yes, you've displayed your conflict of interest. If you press no, it means that you're actually abetting and agreeing with what he has done. And so the tradition from 2013, when an impeachment has been brought to the Senate, is the Senate of that area actually abstains on that vote. I'd have had the luxury of walking out and not being there for that vote. It's a decision I would take again if it came to me. And I'm proud of the decision I made.
You had a point to raise on that earlier.
I want to come in and say, yeah, it's true. Don't kick a man when he's down, but I have a better statement. Don't kick a dead dog.
I don't understand why you'd call the former governor a dog.
No, it's not the former governor. It's you I'm talking about.
You're calling me a dog.
Naomba, Igathe.
I don't want to kick you. That's why I'm asking.
Igathe,
and you had me.
Naomba,
you said,
Igathe,
you had me earlier.
Naomba unisikize dakika moja,
Naomba
sekunde moja. Tafadhali tusitumie lugha ya matusi. Wakati na kudhalilishana katika mjadala.
Wacha niseme hivi. Let me say this. Not kicking a dead dog is actually an English phrase, it's not an insult. It's to say, don't go for somebody when he's down. And I already said, I want to meet him on the ballot. I want to meet my competitor. I want to meet my competitor. I truly want to meet my competitor on the ballot. But I want to remind him that uttering a false document is one of the laws in this country that does not. It is one of the things in this country that you're not fined for. You are taken straight if you are found guilty. And that is for the investigative capacity. We didn't come to do that here. All I'm telling Kenyans...
That is an allegation.
Can I finish? What the Constitution wants is a competent governor, a capable governor, a governor with a character. Ask yourselves, who amongst two of us can you trust?
It also wants a governor who will stay in office for 5 years.
All right. You said earlier you know who the cartels are. Enumerate them, put them on notice on how you're going to deal with this. Earlier when you were talking about the cartels.
The cartels of Nairobi have persisted for 4 decades.
Who are they? You said you know them.
It is a clique of people who have choked the city, and especially the biggest symptom of cartel behavior is in the situation with garbage collection in the city of Nairobi, the situation with pending bills, the situation with suppliers in the city of the county of Nairobi. We need to look at suppliers in the city, in the city of Nairobi, and ask ourselves, who are they? Do they meet the threshold of our public procurement laws, procedures, and regulation? And I want to ask Kenyans to read Auditor General Nancy Gathungu's reports to really see what I'm talking about. Errors and omissions, the statement of assets and liabilities of Nairobi City County, the statement of cash flow, the statement of appropriation, recurrent budget, and development budget. When you read that statement, she's actually saying, these numbers don't reflect the fair data of proper financial practices, proper HR practices. And that is where you see the name of the cartels. And only a president who is running on an anti-corruption platform like Raila Amolo Odinga can tackle this issue. And people who have been stood up to scrutiny. I have always been an employee. I've always been audited. I have never taken a shilling that does not belong to me apart from my salary.
Na kabla tuvuke kwake, ulikuwa naibu gavana katika kaunti ya Nairobi kwa takriban miezi 6. Katika muda huo ulijukumika vipi katika kuwakabili hawa cartels, hawa walaghai, hawa watu ambao wana...
Na kwanza walaghai tulionana nao kwa sababu for the time when I was a governor, Nairobi City County moved its revenues from the 12 million we used to find to 100 million levels, 120 million a day.
You're never a governor.
When I was deputy governor, I was in the governor's office. Thank you. For that period when I was a deputy governor, that is what was going on. And we started to pay salaries on the 25th of every month. There was also remission of all statutory deductions. When I was there, I started the titling program for Nairobi to give title deeds into Nairobi. That process has taken 5 years, is now being completed as we speak. When I was there, I formulated and changed the management of Nairobi City County Water, the Nairobi Water and Sewer System. The new existing chief executive and their team came in. So there are a couple of things that we did within those 6 months. So we had some achievements, and I want to assure you that we'll accelerate them when we come to office, when you vote for us.
Kama seneta unakubaliana naye kwamba waliweka mikakati ya kuweza kukabili hawa cartels na kuweza kulinda rasilimali za kaunti ya Nairobi?
Kwanza nafikiri vile amesema vile alikuwa alianzisha na ikakamilika bila yeye. Inamaanisha Nairobi haikumuhitaji. Kwa sababu it's just demonstrated that even whether he was there or not, it happened. I think if you stayed true and didn't quit and run away when things got hot, maybe things would have been better for the people of Nairobi. We'd never know. And unfortunately, we'll never get to learn. Cartels are a lazy word. It's a word used by lazy leaders who fail to master the courage and the guts and the resilience to deal with corruption. That is what cartels are. Cartels are a weak excuse. Because all of these are human beings. If you say you know them, and even here, just at this debate, you're afraid to name them, yet you said you knew them, you will not deal with them. If you know them, name them.
Kwa hivyo huamini kama seneta kwamba kuna cartels katika county ya Nairobi?
Sio cartels. Ni wanabiashara ambao, the first way not to be, to have cartels in Nairobi is to refuse to be part of that system. Lakini kama unaogopa hata wezi wasema, kesho wakikutisha utajiuzulu tena. We cannot have that in Nairobi. We just need to set systems that actually remove the place they are playing. Don't be afraid of cartels, Polycarp.
Whatever name you choose.
I will invite you on 10th of August when we are naming them.
The opposition is not allowed to name cartels.
You could also name them today, but whatever name you use to allude to them, how are you going to deal with those?
Listen, the first thing you must do in the city, as I've said, is to refuse to be part of them before you even get into office. I have run my campaign by myself. I have struggled. I have funded myself. I have evidence. In fact, unfortunately, I can table it over here, that even the first billboards paid for my opponent are by the cartels, are by other shadowy figures who are convincing him to get out of office, to run for it. Once you are captured by them before you start, once you're captured by the state, once you're captured by these shadowy figures before you even set foot, you will not do anything when you're elected governor. Number two, we must reduce the human interaction with cash in Nairobi. We must digitize service provision, that all the 130-something revenue streams must be allowed to be paid digitally wherever you are. What we're going to do is this in Nairobi. We'll change the governance structure. We're going to have 5 boroughs in this city: Nairobi North, East, West, South, and Central. Each of those boroughs, pursuant to the Urban Areas and Cities Act and the County Government Act, Section 14, will have a urban area board or a borough board. And that borough, there will be an assistant city manager who will report to my deputy governor, Mushiri Njoroge, who we have agreed is not going to quit. They will report to Mushiri Njoroge, and Njoroge Mushiri is going to be the chief city manager. Now, once you localize them to an area, that these few sub-counties, these are who will deal with garbage, these are who will deal with water, these are who will deal with education and all those issues, then you reduce the capacity of that corruption.
Bwana Igathe, unakubali muda wako umekwisha, samahani seneta. Bwana Igathe, unakubali kwamba mapendekezo anayotoa ndio yataweza kukabili wale ambao unawaona kama cartels katika county ya Nairobi? Samahani, muda wako umekwisha seneta. Naomba muda wako umekwisha, tumpe nafasi aweze.
Mambo ya Nairobi ni mazito. Tafadhali baada ya kuzungumze utuongezee dakika. Shida za Nairobi hawezi taja na dakika moja. Kama mnataka watu wa Nairobi wasikie vizuri,
kwa heshima kubwa
zaidi,
kisha utapewa muda zaidi. Utapewa muda.
Wao wanataka majibu.
Senator Sakaja, with all due respect, you did come late. And in keeping time, there are rules that we announced at the beginning of this debate. And an answer to a question is 1.5 minutes, and you can see it clearly on the screen here. Rebuttal is 1 minute, and we did accommodate your lateness.
But we'll summarized answers.
Over to you, Igathe.
Ukosefu wa nidhamu ni jambo la kawaida kwa watu ambao hawajamaliza shule. Let me move to, this is what we want to do.
This is what we want to do.
We want to improve the society in Nairobi by ensuring we tackle the issue of hunger and depravity in the city, by tackling the issue of poor access to education in the city and poor quality access to healthcare. We want to fix the economy in Nairobi by ensuring decent jobs, proper mobility and transport. We are going to form what I'm calling the Nairobi Go portal. It's really e-government, making sure we have time and attendance for every employee. We make a fit-for-purpose government to serve. And lastly, to really fix the environment. Kuimarisha mazingira yetu, maji na mambo hayo.
Your time is up on that, but there was something he brought up, and he said even he claims to be funding his own campaigns and says you're under state capture and you have a right to respond to this. A minute for that in terms of those who are funding your campaign.
My campaign is funded by myself and my friends. And I would like him, because he has said so, to provide that evidence before the morning. That is a liar. Those are lies told by a lying liar.
I'll be glad to do that.
Please, you say you have some evidence to this effect.
Of course, we have receipts. We have receipts of billboards and of, different meetings of chiefs, meetings of DCCs, them being cajoled. You cannot force individuals, DCCs, assistant chiefs, and many of them, they're represented here, no. The meetings at St. George's Primary School, where they're being asked to support those candidates, we know all of that. It is obvious. But if you'd like me to table that, I'll be glad to table it before the country.
I will in equal measure table
all the false documents Senator Sakaja has cited to the Republic of Kenya and to constitutional institutions tomorrow morning on my Twitter.
All right, tomorrow morning there's a lot of news to look forward to, and do you agree? And
then you will know what we are facing. Because the contest on 9th of August is a simple contest. It's a contest in this country. It's a census, actually. It's not an election. How many Kenyans believe in competence, character, capability, honesty, unity, moving forward? And how many believe in lies and all the other bad things we don't want and don't value as a society? That's the contest.
We've moved into the governorship domain of this conversation, and we just like to cover more issues here. And there was a mention of Nairobi Metropolitan Services, NMS. First of all, do you agree with it having been brought in as an intervention? And in your view, was it because of a failed leadership?
No, I celebrate the Nairobi Metropolitan Services, the NMS and General Badi and his team have done a wonderful job. And it was a creature of the law. We saw how it was formed, and because it's a creature of the law, it extinguishes naturally by law in November of this year. Look at what they have done. They have sunk 193 boreholes in the metropolitan area. 144 of those boreholes has been in our informal settlement. That has truly helped us fight COVID-19. The Metropolitan Authority has further worked on pedestrianizing the central business district, which is something we must do in this city. Make sure that non-motorized transport, we democratize transport, that the most important transporter is not the private car, but the pedestrian, the cyclist. They have done it, and we are now walking better. They've really tried to improve the environment, and they are it is part of the military to do civilian duty, and they came and answered the call of duty, and we truly celebrate what they have been able to achieve. And we are reverting back to a civil authority. As we speak, I believe General Badi is in transition, waiting for the election and then for the next people to take over office. He should not be vilified. And he really worked, and he's been able to deliver. It's been a band-aid to the city of Nairobi.
Labda kwa sekunde 30, iwapo utapewa nafasi ama ungepewa nafasi, ungetaka NMS iendelee kuhudumu katika kaunti ya Nairobi?
NMS siwezi pata hiyo nafasi kwa sababu sheria inasema NMS muda wao utakuisha Novemba mwaka huu.
But it was extended, and there's an opportunity to extend it.
I will give better service as governor of Nairobi than NMS.
Bwana Sakaja, on the issue of governorship and how Nairobi Metropolitan Services, beg your pardon, came in to rescue the day. Do you agree with this? And under governorship of Sakaja, would this continue?
It is very interesting to hear a man praising his ex-wife's husband. The reason NMS came about is because Igathe quit. It's as simple as that. If the deputy governor of Nairobi, Igathe, did not quit, there'd be no need to have NMS. Those boreholes you're naming, you should have done them. Those interventions you're talking about, you had a chance to do them. Devolution cannot be trivialized in this country. Devolution is the greatest gift we've given to our people. That every Kenyan, wherever they are, has a right to self-determine. I wrote about this in 2010 with the International Commission of Jurists. Physical decentralization and devolution in this country. That lady in Mutwini deserves a county government and a governor she can hold to account and who can listen to and who she can vote for. So you can't come praise the consequence of you absconding duty, of you, leaving office. Because if Polycarp did not run away from Nairobians, Governor Mike Sonko would have acted differently. Governor Mike Sonko acted as he did because he knew no one would impeach him, because no one wanted a by-election in Nairobi. Yet having no deputy, and that's why he'd bring Miguna's name, whoever's name, he knew he was untouchable. So it is a consequence of him. And then again, understand the law. There's no way NMS will operate after August. Well, I don't know what you're talking about November. The county government that is being elected on the 9th, that will be led, hopefully, God willing, by myself, will take full control of Nairobi. So yes, NMS has had a cocktail of hits and misses, but you don't know Nairobi. Those women who cried when their children were being smashed in Kariobangi and in Mukuru, do not agree with you about NMS. Just a few people who've seen pavements and Kabro who like it and who cheer, and we know whose interests you're protecting here.
Polycarp, una muda
I think we should not dwell. The history is the history.
No.
But we should learn from history.
What the citizens of Nairobi want is, what are we going to do for them? And I'm being really clear that we are going to fix the financing model of the city. We're going to have a city that is well funded. And with those funds, with my deputy, Professor Kaloki, a distinguished public servant and politician, we want in Kiswahili kusema tutastawisha jamii, tutaboresha uchumi na tutaimarisha mazingira hapa Nairobi. Mambo matatu makubwa ambayo tutayatenda. Na tunataka kuwaeleza watu wote Nairobi kwamba manifesto yetu iko kwa magazeti yote siku ya Wednesday, kesho,
day after.
This week, muisome the abridged version muone the pledges we are making to you, because in 3 seconds we're not able to extrapolate those pledges, but I want to assure you Nairobi will be something of your dreams. It will be a city of your vision. It will be truly a global hub in Africa for everybody.
Senator Sakaja, I believe you do agree that Nairobi is in deep debt and there's wasteful use of funds. What are the factors behind this? How will you fix it?
Again, I must say, Nairobi is in a dire situation that needs proper planning and proper political management. A lot of these issues are relational. If you look at the 76 billion debt, including even the 4.4 that is owed now, to KCB, and many of these other instruments we've gotten into, a lot of them can be sorted out based on how we relate with the national government. That Nairobi is not a branch of the national government or an appendage, or as my brother says, the military interventions are going on. Then Nairobi can negotiate, because there are a lot of areas which we can do debt swaps, that the county of Nairobi owes the national government and the national government owes Nairobi City County. We must balance our books, and we're going to do that. And we have a team that is properly suited to be able to do that. I am very, very confident about my deputy, Njoroge Mushiri, who has a stellar career as well in banking. Actually, a proper corporate career, not 2 years stints here and there. A proper career, 20 years in ABSA.
So give us the particulars, though, on the issue of the debt that we are in. How will we get out once you are governor?
And that's what I'm saying. We must do a couple of things. One, you must refinance your debt. You must move what is domestic into concessional. That you cannot be borrowing from commercial banks. Have them as concessional. Chapter 12 of the Constitution of Kenya, talking about public finance, says how the national government guarantees county governments of debt. In fact, on top of that, we must get creative. For us to sort out the real issues of this city, we need around 200 billion shillings upfront through an infrastructure bond. I've gone across this world and spoken to Kenyans in the diaspora whose remittances are our biggest foreign income earner, who are ready to put in money in certain interventions. When you talk about transit, we need a mass transit system in this county. How are we going to do it? Recently, I was in Imperial College in London, and I met a man, a nice gentleman, who sorted out transit in London. He sorted out transit in Beijing, mobility. What's his name? Professor Washington Ochieng. The other day I was in Riyadh. I met a group of guys who did the Dubai Metro and are doing the Riyadh Metro. George Opondo. There are Kenyans out there who are willing, so we must get creative. There's a PPP department that has been set up in the National Treasury. There's external borrowing, but we must refinance this city. Look at Joburg. Joburg is almost, it's more or less a listed city where people can actually invest in it. If you do not do that, you become a cashier. That you're receiving money, you only pay salaries, you will not develop Nairobi unless you get creative in how we actually, structure our financing model for the city. So we're going to restructure the debt, move to concessional loans, re-amortize some of those payments to longer term, and have an infrastructure bond for Nairobi City. Many Kenyans out there are going to put in money on our transit, on our water, and our basic infrastructure.
Bwana Polycarp, utakabili vipi matumizi ya mabaya ya rasilimali katika kaunti ya Nairobi, ufujaji wa fedha na madeni ambayo sasa hivi yanaangamiza kaunti ya Nairobi?
Jambo la kwanza, Nairobi City County gets its highest revenue from land rates, parking bays, land rates, parking fees, outdoor advertising, building permits. Those would be some of the within the top 5 revenue things. And what we are going to do is to make sure that we digitalize the collection of all that revenue so that the leakage, we seal the leakage. Technology is one of the best things to overcome loss of revenue. And we are going to use technology in the public revenue management system. Then secondly, we will deploy that money. Our own source revenue, I can promise, we and Professor Kaloki have done a study, and we've even checked the reports of the Commission for Revenue Allocation. With 6 revenue lines, we can generate 80 billion own source revenue in Nairobi. And with that money, we will build 1,000. We will join the government in building more schools, in making sure there's medicine in our dispensaries, in making sure that there's incinerators to burn garbage, that we start a leasing program for vehicles and equipment for the staff, and also to make sure we pay our staff the right salaries so that they are really motivated. We are very concerned about the welfare of Nairobi City County workers and all the workers of all affiliate bodies of Nairobi City County. Only motivated workers can deliver essential services, and that's what Nairobians want.
And that brings me to the next issue, and that is the competence of the Nairobi City County staff, and you will both have an opportunity to respond to this. How will you address the competence or lack thereof, overemployment, cases of ghost workers, and the issue of productivity to make those staff workers, the workers of Nairobi City County, that they will deliver the services for the Nairobians? I'll start with you.
Every employee of Nairobi City County, from the 10th of August, we shall have a performance agreement with them. We will bring back to life performance contracting. And that performance agreement means, what do they do every day? The few things they do every day to deliver the output Nairobians expect. And that output will be captured in a scorecard. So each one of us will have a scorecard and a performance agreement. The performance agreement is the input. The scorecard is the measure. And who will measure is the neighborhood associations. We're going to run Nairobi with the neighborhood associations as per the Neighborhoods Act. There is an act that demands the city is run in a see-through way. Let me not call it transparent. That, and I want to use the analogy of an egg. The executive of Nairobi City County will be the yolk. Surrounding it will be the county assembly as the egg white. The egg shell will be the residents of Nairobi. Kwa sababu, we will not pay an invoice for a road or a broken sewer before the neighborhood association, say of Kayole, sends us a photo. So there's crowdsourcing. We are going to use technology and the cloud and a data center that can really be able to serve the city of Nairobi. And we shall decentralize services from City Hall. City Hall will be the headquarters of the corporate services. There is no use for a waiter, like I found a waiter, a restaurant somebody working somewhere in Umoja telling me they have to come all the way to CBD ati anakuja kutafuta food handler certificate.
No.
That
Right.
food handler certificate, they should be able to get it in Umoja. Thank you.
Sakaja, I think you were tickled there again. Was a point to mention the cloud issue, but how will you address the staffing for Nairobi County?
Unajua mavijana wa Nairobi wakisikia vile amesema hiyo story ya mayai, atasema anatubeba kimayai. Many of those ideas, really, this is not equity, eh? This is not corporate. You must take the bull by the horns and give practical solutions to our city. And let me give you an example. You're talking about, one of the highest revenue streams, being rates. Have you talked to us about the reclassification of those rates? Why is it that people in Igathe are paying the same rate as people in Runda, which is just, a doorstep away, yet they have Mabati structures and these ones have 5-star houses? Let's be practical, because that is what Nairobians want to be able to hear. Now, the sectional properties bill that was passed in Parliament recently prevents an opportunity. I've heard him saying he's done a study with Professor Kaloki. I know Professor Kaloki is a professor. And maybe that's why we've not been seeing you guys campaigning, because you're doing studies. But look at what KPMG has spoken about Nairobi. Look at what PwC have said, and the CRA. It is not just 6 revenue streams that are going to increase how much we collect. Just the sectional properties realignment and the revaluation that starts in January 2023 is going to take us up another 50 to 53 billion shillings. Every other revenue stream then must be geared towards making Nairobians more productive. The NMS that you praise has been going around this city with GSU, harassing our traders and our hawkers, throwing them into, those pickups, tetanus field pickups and roadworthy. By the way, on the 9th, if you're listening and you're a scrap metal dealer, come to City Hall. Revenue has gone down to 7 billion. Why is that? Because you're not explaining to the people of Nairobi the services you're offering with the money you collect from them. We will have a people-centered leadership. Cloud is a tool.
Na muda umekwisha.
Your focus must be on the people you're serving. You can't be.
Muda umekwisha bwana seneta, lakini umekuwa seneta wa kaunti ya Nairobi. Umewajibika vipi katika kuona kwamba pesa za kaunti ya Nairobi zinatumika namna inavyostahili, hakuna wizi, hakuna watu wasiofanya kazi ambao wanalipwa? Umekuwa seneta, wewe ndiye macho ya kaunti ya Nairobi.
Zubeda, umewajibika vipi? Hapa mlifanya utafiti.
Umewajibika vipi seneta katika kuhakikisha kwamba pesa za kaunti ya Nairobi zimetumika vyema?
My timer is counting while you're talking. Kama mlifanya utafiti, ungeona zile ripoti ambazo nimewasilisha, zile miswada na hoja ambazo nimezileta kwa bunge. Hapo kati ya hizo miswada na hoja, kuna ile ambayo inaitwa prompt payment bill, ambayo pia wale wengine walijaribu kuweka katika mswada wa BBI walikuwa wanaleta. Ilikuwa nimeshapitisha kwa bunge. Ukiangalia yale unajua zile ripoti ambazo nimewasilisha kwa bunge, zinazungumza itakuwa ni njia gani tutatumia, mbinu gani, form itakuwa vipi kwa kisha ule jamaa. There's a guy who works just across over here in Cultivar. He's called Fred. He's one of the procurement people. Akona wines and spirits Buruburu. Anasema ya kwamba wakati akiwa job anasikia hawa watu wa NMS na GSU wamekuja, in their WhatsApp group they tell each other that hawa watu wamekam. Kuna wimbo wanasemanga walikam na kinini, vijana wa Nairobi wanajua. Wamekam na Subaru. Na wakikuja hapo they tell each other in the WhatsApp group, they close all the shops. That's why this military you're praising has not collected 7 billion this year. Let's take power back to the people. And he tried to define this election. It's not about liars and who don't lie. It's about a state project and a people's governor.
Speaking about the people's governor, power to the people, let's give some power to the people who weighed in on this debate. We had asked some questions from Nairobians, and I believe we're ready to sample them right now.
My name is Mercy Marcela Achola, an executive program leader with the Maxwell Leadership Team and also serving in the Kenya Daima Steering Committee. My question to the Nairobi gubernatorial candidates is, if elected to office, could you share with the residents of Nairobi what can we expect from you in your first 100 days in office?
In the first 100 days, I pledge with my deputy to have a very fit for purpose organization to deliver essential services that Nairobians have been deprived of in the past, and especially Nairobians in the informal settlements and in low-income areas. And therefore, there'll be executive order number 1 that establishes a good government, a coherent government, and a government where the deputy governor has clear responsibilities, a government where the governor himself has clear responsibilities, and where we work as partners, him playing to his strengths and me playing to my strengths, but a proper cabinet. Also, we promise you a proper cabinet that is fit for purpose, and the purpose is essential service delivery. The people watching us at home, actually, they just want services. They want water in their taps. They want garbage collected. They want storm drains covered. They want pedestrian walks repaired. They want markets made. They don't want to continue selling on the roadsides. They want their bills on time, and they want to be treated with honor, and they want to be treated like citizens of Kenya, and they want to be enabled to do their businesses. So the first 100 days is about reconstructing the organization called Nairobi City County, because it does not exist, and we have a lot of demotivated employees. Make sure that we convince them, they start to see their salaries are paid, they are well taken care of, career development is sorted. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to thank the lady from Maxwell for that question. Maxwell Leadership Institute on Valley Road is an extremely important, pillar in mentoring many of our young people. I've actually taught many programs of leadership there, and I've been a participant in that. I think when she asked 100 days, maybe what she wanted to hear from me, Polycarp, was just to say, I will not quit first, as the beginning.
Thanks for answering for me. Go ahead.
Please keep reminding people, because people are afraid to okay. But secondly, I want to say this. In the first 100 days, I've said that you will not sort out Nairobi using quick fixes. The issues of this city don't need 100, and I'm not seeking a 100-day term. It's not quick fixes or bandage solutions that will sort it out. We have a 10-year vision and a 5-year vision with milestones. But in the first 100 days, what you're going to do, number 1, is to implement the Urban Areas and Cities Act together with Section 14 of the County Government Act to create the 5 boroughs that I'm talking about in Nairobi. That if the person in charge of garbage in Kayole does not need to think about Westlands, the person in charge of a road in Langata should have nothing to do with Roysambu or Marurui. Because that lack of accountability, when you ask them, okay, mbona hapa kuna takataka, pole boss kulikuwa na sijui crisis in Mukuru. So we'll set up the governance structure that will deliver to Nairobians. That is the first task, and that includes the county assembly. The second thing that we're going to do is to implement the standing orders that we've actually been working on, even as I've been in the Senate, proper standing orders for the inspectorate. We cannot have people criminalizing business, chasing our hawkers, throwing sticks at them. They must have proper, like any discipline force, standing orders. And finally, we'll implement the 1 business permit. You can't have businesses with 10 licenses. Today there is fire, tomorrow there is what. It will be 1 license. Right. And I will pay every other entity that needs to be paid from that 1 license that you pay in Nairobi.
Bwana Polycarp, mmekuwa mkizungumza kuhusu tatizo la maji taka katika kaunti ya Nairobi. Awali ulitaja kuhusu cartels. Je, unaamini kwamba ubinafsishaji wa huduma hizi katika kaunti ya Nairobi utasaidia katika kusuluhisha baadhi ya matatizo ambayo yamekuwepo kuhusu usimamizi wa huduma hizi?
Huduma za maji zimekuwa ni tatizo kubwa. Juzi nimetembea kule Ruai na muliona picha. Sikujua kuna mahali Nairobi watu beba maji bado na punda. Pia, so you learn every day. Now, if you go to Ruai, the problem is a problem of way leaves, which the senator perhaps was even ignored in Senate. There is a way leave issue between Kiambu and Nairobi, because today we are consuming 500,000 cubic meters of water every day in Nairobi. But that's really the level of production of water from our water sources, Dakaine, Roiro Dam. But the Roiro Dam and the Northern Collector Tunnel, we need to connect it. Na hiyo shida ya way leave ni shida ya kisiasa, lazima tutatue, na hiyo kitatuliwa, there'll be an extra almost close to 100,000 cubic, so we'll go to 600,000 immediately, and people watu wataanza kusikia relief. But in 5 years we have to build new water sources and work with the national government to build new water sources. But you've got the government that builds new water sources has to be a government that does not believe dams are for eating and stealing, because dams have to be done in places like the Nyandarua ecosystem, Maragua Dam in Murang'a, and that's why Nairobi has to be secured by being assisted by the neighboring countries to the metropole that is Nairobi City County.
Senator Sakaja, the taps in many homes and other businesses are running dry, but their water bowsers full to the brim and coming at a premium. How will you sort this?
First, again, it's really nice that we're at a university, because I need to school my friend about water. There are many things you've said that are completely false. Number one, the quantity that we consume is not that 525,000 that you're speaking about. Nairobi has 4 water sources. The first water source is Kikuyu Springs, just after Kikuyu campus. That was set up in 1907. After that, we developed Ruiru Dam in 1936. It provides 4%. Kikuyu Springs provides only 1%, which is 4,000 cubic meters of water. The third one is Sasumwa in Njambini. Sasumwa produces 11% of our water requirement in Nairobi, comes through Kabete treatment plant, then comes down this way. And the fourth one, the biggest of course, is Ndakaine, which gives us 84% of our water. Now Ndakaine was last developed in 1997. There were 3 phases. After 1997, there's been no additional source. So every single day, the people of Nairobi require 850 million liters of water, but get 525.6 million liters per day. You need to bridge that gap. In fact, you'll be shocked, Polycarp. 70% of the people you're talking about, the ones you didn't know carry water in Mutungi, 70% of them, of Nairobians, have never had a shower from the top. They bathe bottom up, like with the bucket. Bottom up is how many of us shower in this city. We want to give our people dignity. There is no dignity when women are scrambling outside these, boreholes that have been created in the water sources every day for water. This issue of distribution then is the next thing that must be. I asked about this time thing because I've just spoken about the quantity. So when we finish Northern Collector, December 2023, under our administration, I don't like saying our administration, we'll move into Northern Collector 2. One will sort out 85% of the water need, and then 65%, and then Northern Collector 2 will give us 85%. Now the second most important issue, if you're allowing
on your time, let's give him an opportunity. Let's give him an opportunity to keep time.
The challenge of water, the debate in Nairobi is not about what needs to be done and how. There is consensus that we are short of sources of water. It is who will do it, because you need to be trustworthy and you need to be capable to get it done. That issue of who is the most important issue in this election. And on the issue of water, for sure, the supply and demand, there's too little supply for very high demand. And the numbers are what it is. The metropolitan area, because Nairobi even supplies Machakos, the EPZ area, with water, the biggest challenge is new sources of water for the city county of Nairobi. And that is a task between ourselves and the national government. And thank God we have Martha Karua, the original champion of water as Minister of Water during Kibaki's time. And she understands the task, and we are ready to work with her in Nairobi.
For Nairobi, it will be a responsibility. On to housing, a majority of Nairobians live in informal settlement. I just want to cover as much as we can. And a majority of the populace here live in informal settlements. And how are we going to change this housing demand and give quality housing and other services for Nairobians? I'll start with you.
Thank you. I'll just take the same time to finish on water. I've heard him mentioning Martha, earlier he mentioned Raila. These are people we all, we know and we've worked with many years. Don't run away and hide behind them when you don't have the point. Just say the point as it is. Because Nairobians are electing you to be governor of Nairobi, not Martha Karua, not Raila Odinga. They're electing you. If they elect you, if they make that decision, which I know they will not make. You must sort out the distribution issue of water, because water goes hand in hand with housing. So I've spoken about the quantity. And it's not about waiting for an angel from national government to do it. Already we're at 90% with the Northern Collector 1. The piping has been, or rather the tunneling has been done. The piping is at 34%. This side from Apro Isambu, coming from Kiambu Institute of Technology to USIU, moving down, is already going on. We have so many areas that do not have piping. I've never had piping in Nairobi. There are people who actually build houses across what were the physical levers. They shut it down, they collect water, and then you see these bowsers moving around the city, labeled clean water or NMS. That will come to an end using SCADA technology, where as governor, I'll be able to see on my phone, Mali wamekata maji. Now, urban housing, is a huge challenge in this city. And it's also something that the built environment has made people lack dignity in this city. The county government is not in the business of building houses. We shall facilitate the private sector through proper land tenure and giving them proper land of government to actually partner with them to build these houses. We can actually do it through the silo model, where you build and people move and come in there. Urban renewal is being resisted in Eastlands because of lack of trust of that institution or body that is praising here today. I wish you go there tomorrow and tell them what you said about NMS.
Bwana Polycarp, maji ni mojawapo ya shida ambazo zinakumba wale ambao wanaishi katika mitaa ya mabanda katika kaunti ya Nairobi. Haswa ni mpango upi ambao uko nao wa kuinua na kuimarisha hadhi ya watu ambao wanaishi katika mitaa ya mabanda katika kaunti ya Nairobi na changamoto ambazo wanakumbana nazo?
So first of all, the county of Nairobi in its own books owns close to 532 hectares of land. On it sits 12,000 single dwelling units. Nairobi has to strategically densify, but that process requires proper public participation. You can already hear my competitor is whetting his appetite to steal your homes. You people in Makadara and Jericho, umesikia, he has pronounced himself that this will be private sector led. I have told you, this thing called urban renewal, which is what they want Nairobi to take, we have to be very careful. It needs proper conversations around it, and we must build housing that is truly affordable housing, decent housing, and before we build, we must ask the people who sit in those estates, mnataka nini? How will this work? And how will you be compensated? Before that is done, we are rushing. And you've seen a big rush towards that work, and we are saying, put it on hold. The Constitution demands proper public participation, proper understanding, and I want to believe that conversation has already not been held. So the housing question in the informal settlements is to continue the work that has started. Roads, water, sewer, boreholes. These informal settlements require a lot of investment, and that investment requires allocation of improving our revenue and also making sure Senate allocates us the money we require to attend to high density areas.
Okay. A rebuttal in terms of what he said on your housing urban development plan there. An opportunity.
There are people waiting in the wings to come and steal your houses, and you've had the private sector.
He has the opportunity. You're in his time. You have an opportunity.
I don't know who represents the private sector here on this stage, if you look clearly. But what I'll say is this. While you're away, when you ran away from Nairobians, Polycarp, I represented the people of Majengo in Kamkunji in court to fight what you're talking about. You were somewhere in your Bentley, living the life, never spoken about an issue of Nairobians. But now you're saying you want to steal. That they were moved from slums in Majengo, the slums were put down and put in 11,000 bob houses while they're paying 5,000 shillings, 4,000 shillings. Today, the amount of money owed that they need to pay 60 million shillings. That's what someone wants to steal the houses. When I talk about urban renewal, the entity you're praising is rushing. Just this week, there have been more than 3-4 advertisements on the newspaper for them to engage contractors on urban renewal, and they have 28 days to go. They must stop that. And I'm putting